Hello, I'm Attorney Leonard Berg, and I'm here to talk to you about the SECURE Act and special needs planning. The SECURE Act is a fairly new law adopted by Congress, and if you've heard of it, one of the big changes is that upon the death of both spouses, the SECURE Act requires that money be paid out to family members more quickly than what it had in the past. If you've done some research or other reading, then you would have perhaps seen that if you have a child with special needs, then you can use perhaps the old rule and have a stretch IRA, by extending the period of time that the IRAs have to be paid out, and then potentially having lower income tax consequences. So we're going to talk a bit about that. But we're also here particularly focusing on a child with special needs. And so why is that important in here? So children with special needs have a whole variety of need for services, particularly upon the death of both parents. Parents of a child with special needs often say that they hope that they can live one more day than their child, because they never quite know who's going to be able to help that child out, help provide services to them, and be a comfort for them. And the premise from the government is that there are services available, but that oftentimes that child with special needs must have very little resources, effectively must be broke. And so what kind of resources are we talking about? Just as a reminder, we're talking about education, including training for jobs and even activities of daily living, employment-related supportive services, community-based home services, housing, transportation, medical needs, including help paying for various prescriptions, non-emergency medical transportation, and it goes on and on. And unfortunately, the child cannot have a lot of resources in order to qualify for those services. So that's why we're so concerned about this in this particular topic here. And so we're also talking about the death of both spouses. The reason, or at least assuming there's a married couple, but the idea is that the SECURE Act allows many protections for a surviving spouse, but now we're particularly concerned both spouses have passed away, and we're now trying to give money and resources for the benefit of that child with disabilities. It's another important thing. If part of your estate plan, whether we're talking about these IRA benefits or really any other type of benefit, should always upon your death be paid to someone for the benefit of your child. You should not pay the money to the child. Those simple prepositions, for instead of to the child, become really, really important. Also, during this talk, I may use the terms generally or usually. That's because we're talking about the government and we're talking about money. And so the government has all these rules and they have exceptions to the rules. And so if I'm giving you some of the rules here, they'll apply to almost everyone. But if I use the word generally or usually, it's because there are sometimes some quirks that may or may not be important for the purpose of this talk. So, what is the SECURE Act? Congress always likes to come up with acronyms, and they come up with these fancy titles of their laws. And so the SECURE Act is Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement Act. Take out those capital letters of those first words there, and that's where you get the SECURE Act. The SECURE Act applies to IRAs. There are actually very many types of IRAs. There's the regular IRAs, SEP IRAs, 401k, 403b, 457, and to some extent Roth IRAs as well. So when I use the term IRA, for the most part, you referring to all of those types of deferred retirement accounts. I'm not referring to pensions, because those are called defined benefit plans, and they have a whole different set of rules. So these are defined contribution plans, So it's a little bit different set of roles.